Have you ever stopped to think that right beneath every single thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every physical sensation you experience, there's an invisible operating system running in the background? Seriously, it's there. It's dictating how deeply you sleep, how fast your cells age, and even how your brain handles stress. It's this ancient, deeply embedded biological code, and honestly, most of us go our entire lives without even realizing it exists. Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're pulling back the curtain on this hidden software because once you understand it, it's absolutely going to change everything you thought you knew about your own body.
So that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? What invisible biological forces are actually shaping the quality of your life every single day? We spend so much time and energy obsessing over diet, exercise, and the latest productivity hacks, but we completely ignore the underlying biological infrastructure that decides if any of those habits actually work. Why do you wake up exhausted despite sleeping 8 solid hours? Why does one casual comment from a coworker suddenly make your heart race? Why does chronic inflammation persist even when your diet is literally perfect? The answer is hidden in a biological framework that most of us were never taught. Let's dive into it.
For decades, science fed us a pretty flawed story. We were told our nervous system was just a simple binary switch. You're either completely calm or you're in full-blown panicked fight-or-flight mode. But the reality? It is way more complex. Back in 1994, Dr. Porges completely revolutionized our understanding of human biology with what's called the Polyvagal Theory. It turns out we don't just have two states, we have three. We have a state of safety, a state of mobilization, and a state of complete shutdown. And guys, this isn't just some minor scientific update. This completely rewrites the rules for human health, emotional resilience, and chronic disease.
Now here is the detail that really should give you pause. 95% of these biological shifts happen entirely without you even noticing. Yep, 95%. Your nervous system is basically on automatic cruise control. It's constantly scanning the environment, taking in data, and altering your heart rate, your digestion, and your immune function, all before your conscious brain has even registered what's going on. We all like to think we're in the driver's seat of our daily moods, but in reality, your biology has already made the decision for you. So, how is this physically happening inside of you? Meet the vagus nerve, cranial nerve 10. You can think of it as this massive, high-speed fiber optic cable running all the way from your brainstem down through your neck, wrapping around your heart and lungs, and weaving deep into your digestive tract. Fun fact here, vagus actually means wanderer in Latin, and that makes perfect sense when you see how much territory this nerve covers. So when you get a gut feeling, or when your heart physically aches from grief, that is not just a metaphor. That is literally your vagus nerve transmitting physical data across your body's biological highway.
Section 1. The Polyvagal Ladder Explained. To really grasp how these biological states interact, clinician Deb Dana came up with this brilliant metaphor. It translates all this complex neuroscience into something incredibly practical. She calls it the autonomic ladder. I want you to picture yourself moving up and down this ladder every single day. The exact rung you're standing on at any given moment completely dictates your reality. It dictates how you breathe, how your organs are functioning, and even how you perceive the people around you.
Let's walk down this ladder together. Right at the top is the ventral vagal state. Think of this as the green light. Your heart rate is beautifully regulated, your digestion is optimal, and you feel safe, connected, and curious. This is the only place where your body actually heals and recovers. But if danger is detected, boom, you drop to the middle rung, sympathetic mobilization, the yellow light. Suddenly you're flooded with adrenaline, your breathing gets shallow, and you feel anxious or hypervigilant, ready to fight or run. And if the threat feels completely overwhelming, you drop straight to the bottom rung, dorsal vagal shutdown, the red light. Your metabolism slows to a crawl, you numb out, and you feel completely frozen. Now, these three states aren't just random settings. They are a literal timeline of our evolution. Going back 500 million years ago, our vertebrate ancestors only had that dorsal shutdown, basically the ability to play dead like a possum. Fast forward to 300 million years ago, and we got that sympathetic adrenaline rush to fight or flee. It was actually only 200 million years ago that we mammals developed the ventral vagal pathway for social connection. So here's the wild part. When you experience extreme modern stress, your biology literally devolves backward. You abandon modern connection and behave like a threatened reptile, reacting to, say, a mundane work email as if it were an actual predator in the wild.
Section 2. The Science of Neuroception.
But how does your body actually know when to drop down that ladder? Well, it relies on a hidden biological superpower called neuroception. Now, unlike perception, which is a conscious thought you're aware of, neuroception is entirely subconscious. It is your nervous system's internal radar. It is constantly scanning the room, analyzing the tone of people's voices, monitoring your own internal organs, and deciding, in a fraction of a millisecond, whether you are safe or in mortal danger. And again, this all happens completely without your permission.
And this right here is exactly how neuroception drives your daily reality. Because if your system is chronically dysregulated, your neuroception essentially becomes a faulty alarm system. Have you ever misread a coworker's totally neutral facial expression as this harsh personal rejection? Or felt an overwhelming sense of panic just standing in a normal, somewhat crowded grocery store? Or maybe you're someone who lies awake at 2 a.m. totally exhausted but completely wired, unable to get into deep sleep. That is because your body is subconsciously sensing a threat that isn't even there. Your biology is literally overriding your logic.
So this begs an enormous question. What actually happens when this biological traffic light just malfunctions entirely? Like, what are the long-term consequences when you get stuck on the yellow or red light and you just can't seem to return to that green light of safety and recovery?
Section 3. The modern conflict.
Look, we live in a modern world that is constantly triggering our ancient defensive states. Endless workplace stress, poor sleep, high-intensity habits like perfectionism and workaholism, they keep us trapped in sympathetic overdrive. And over time, the body just exhausts itself and drops into chronic shutdown. This is a profound revelation, guys. Things like irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, runaway cellular inflammation, they aren't all in your head. They're the physiological consequences of a nervous system biologically trapped in a chronic state of threat. It wreaks havoc on your circadian rhythm and quite literally accelerates aging from the inside out.
And that brings us to what we call the great reframing. The old paradigm taught us to view our anxiety, our burnout, and our physical shutdowns as character flaws, right? Or mental weaknesses. We felt shame for them. But the polyvagal paradigm completely shatters that. Your anxiety and your shutdown are absolutely not failures. They are highly successful, deeply ancient protective mechanisms. Your body is doing exactly what it evolved to do over hundreds of millions of years just to keep you alive. Shifting your mindset from shame to biological awe is the very first step in rewiring the whole system. But how do we actually do that?
Section 4. The biology of connection.
If our bodies get trapped in these ancient survival states, we have to use our most advanced biological tool to get out. Enter the mammalian superpower, the vagal brake. Remember that newest myelinated pathway at the top of the ladder? That ventral vagus nerve acts as a rapid physical brake on your heart rate. And here is where it gets like magic. It is directly linked to the muscles in your face and your middle ear, meaning we can actually calm our own racing hearts and the racing hearts of the people around us simply through soft eye contact, a warm smile, and a melodic tone of voice. How wild is that?
This leads us to one of the most beautiful and scientifically rigorous truths of human biology. As the quote says, co-regulation is a biological imperative. When we connect with a safe person, our nervous systems quite literally talk to each other across the room. Human connection is not just some pleasant social concept or a soft skill. No, it is a hardwired physiological requirement. We actually use the calm nervous system of another person to pull ourselves back up that ladder to safety.
Section 5. Rewiring your nervous system. Knowing all this, we are no longer helpless passengers. We can manually shift these automatic states, but you have to climb back up the ladder sequentially. You can't skip rungs. If you're deeply frozen in a dorsal shutdown, you can't just force yourself to instantly be happy and social. It doesn't work. You have to gently wake the body up with sensory grounding first, maybe a cold splash of water, noticing the colors in the room, slow stretches. As you move up into sympathetic mobilization, you might actually feel a sudden rush of anxiety or anger. And you know what? That's progress. You just have to release that trapped survival energy through physical movement or breathwork. Only after doing that can you fully arrive back at the ventral state to deeply restore.
This biological reality is completely changing the face of medicine and therapy. We now know that top-down cognitive therapy, just talking about it, is often not enough, because 95% of this is happening way below conscious thought. True healing requires bottom-up bodywork. We're talking about modalities like somatic experiencing to release trapped energy, breathwork that directly engages that vagal brake, and specialized auditory interventions that train your middle ear to detect safety cues again. And beneath it all is a safe therapeutic alliance, a relationship where co-regulation physically rebuilds your neural pathways of safety.
When we zoom out and really look at the big picture here, this changes everything we thought we knew about wellness.
Health is not just a collection of isolated habits. It's not just a diet here and a workout there. Health, longevity, cognitive function, emotional resilience, they are all emergent results. They are the beautiful outcome of countless interconnected biological processes occurring every single second. Deep restorative sleep, low inflammation, cellular repair. Every single one of these is entirely dependent on your nervous system feeling safe enough to stop defending itself, so it can finally start repairing itself.
And it all really does come back to this. Through co-regulation, a foundation of safety is created and nourishing connections follow. You are fundamentally biologically wired for connection. We evolved to heal in the presence of safe others. When we finally start understanding our bodies not as these broken, faulty machines, but as brilliant, ancient protective systems that are just desperately seeking safety, we unlock an entirely new level of human flourishing.
Which leaves us with one final profound question to consider as you go about the rest of your day. Now that you can clearly see this invisible operating system running just beneath the surface, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to remain at the mercy of your ancient survival circuits, reacting blindly to a modern world that feels like a constant threat? Or will you use this knowledge to gently guide your biology back toward safety, toward healing, and toward connection? The choice and the biological power is now entirely yours.